So here we are again with co-creator, co-founder of mBraining, Grant Soosalu, and your host, Bill Gasiamis. And Grant, today we just wanted to have a little bit of chat. I wanted to work out a little bit about what's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of things. I don't want to discuss all the things in the pipeline because it's a 7-day episode.
Absolutely.
Which is really, really great and it's exciting. One of the things specifically I want to talk about and hear from you about is the mBit Master Coaching program or workshop that you're currently developing.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about it. How it was that it came to be a need for a master coaching program?
Yep. And
what coaches who have already done mBraining can expect from it.
Yeah. Okay. So Marv and I always knew that we would want a master coach certification because coach certification, it's 4 days. We pack a lot into it, but we deliver on some very specific competencies that we knew we wanted to be able to get people out in the world doing for Chapter 9 to make a difference to the higher order leadership of how people are leading their lives on the planet. And it's fantastic, and as you know, we've now got trainers in 20 countries after only 2.5 years, and it's really just growing from strength to strength. We're talking at WBEX again, invited to talk, we didn't even apply for the 3rd year in a row, which is quite an honour, etc. So mBit coaching itself has really moved in wonderful ways as expected, because it does deliver some beautiful stuff and some very profound experiences in the room, and then ongoingly people's lives and in clients' lives. So it's mBit coaching is transformational for the coach, let alone for the client.
Yeah.
And of course, mBit trainers find it even more transformational in their own lives, and master trainers at the next level again. That's like literally takes them to a new level of destiny in their lives. So we had all of that, and we knew that at some point we'd need to develop an mBit master coach. And I always decided that I would set the timing on that based on, in a sense, a Chapter 9 bang for buck. As you know, I've only got so many hours in my life that I do need to sleep and eat, and that's other than sleeping and eating. It's pretty much for the last couple of years all I've done is mBit. So 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day, because I'm so passionate about getting this. What's the most compassionate, creative, and courageous me that I can do to get mBit out into the planet and share this wonderful, wonderful radio mBit that I tuned into somehow or other and share that with the world. But I've had so many coaches coming to me going, when is the master coach? When is the master coach? We really want it, we've been coaching with mBit, it's fantastic. How do we take it to another level? We want something more.
Yeah.
So in honour of that, I kind of shifted the priorities around to bring it up a little bit more forward.
Yeah.
And indeed, I was asked, would I be able to, we just came back from the UK. I came back from the UK not only less than 2 months ago, I think, where we ran a trainer's training and coach cert. So there's now a growing number of trainers and coaches over in Europe, getting to be quite a nice number. And I've been asked already to go back again, and we're going in January of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked, would it be possible, could we do a master coach over there? Could we pilot it over there? So in fact, that's the plan at this stage is to go and run the master coaching over in Europe.
Right.
Now, that being said, there's a lot of people in New Zealand and Australia who heard that I'm going to go and, including some of the trainers and master trainers, and I'm going to be piloting this, and they're like, well, what about Australia? So trying to find dates in the calendar amongst all the other work I'm doing and trainings I'm doing and programs I'm piloting, etc., to try and fit the finishing up of the action research and development of the master coaching in with some timeframes of when could I, pre-pilot it in over this side of the pond, shall we say, before we get it across to Europe. So not sure what's happening in terms of dates, but kind of watch this space. It's certainly coming, and it will be hopefully by the end of this year, and I'll do a pilot for anybody who really, really wants to become a master coach.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few people I think would like to take there to the next level, right? I was sharing with a couple of the master trainers what I plan to put into it.
Yeah.
And when they said, "Can you send us a description of what your work plans to go, what you plan to go into this, and what you've been working on?" And they both went, "Oh, we want to be on this. Oh, there's so much. We want this."
Yeah.
So when people see what's coming, they're usually pretty interested if they've already MBIT coaches, of course, because only coaches can become master coaches.
Right.
And of course, that's one of the timing things too, because there's no point in developing a program for master coaching if you've only got 50 coaches.
I see.
We've got on the way to 1,000 coaches now.
Yes.
So it's time to be with. That's why I think I'm getting so many of the coaches going, please, sir, can we have so to speak, can we have another bowl of porridge?
Yeah.
I do love porridge.
So you're going to give us a little bit of an insight into what we're going to get?
What you're going to get. The basis for it, the way I see it, and so it's a step back, and this is literally, I'm now kind of giving you the training design, but step back into, if I'm developing master coaching, I had to unpack what the structure of mastery is. So to deconstruct, shall we say, what's the structure of mastery?
Right.
Take that and then apply it to what is mBit coaching about.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes, what would be mastery in mBit coaching? What would be the components and skills and competencies involved in that? And so there's a sort of a 4-part structure to that, and we will be therefore applying that to mBit coaching. There are obviously skill components, so we're going to increase levels of skill.
Right.
There's attentional components, and in mBit coaching we look at that as calibration aspects. When someone is there and you're with them and being really with them at a head-gut level, in order to surface your own intuitions, you have to notice distinctions.
Mm-hmm.
So take your skill level to the next level of mastery around that attentional aspect of what refined distinctions can you attend to, and how people are head, heart, gut, etc. Then there's intentional components and deeper learning components, so deeper understanding components. And that intentional, which is about your intention for you as an mBit master, being a master at bringing the human spirit alive. That's what you're doing, right?
Right.
So what does that mean? Because it needs, as we know, it needs to be like with compassion for other, you need self-compassion. In order to take your coaching of another to a higher level of mastery, a deeper level of mastery, a more embodied level of mastery, you need to do that in your own life. So it'll be taking those aspects of your own intention for who you are as a soul, as 3 souls, as a spirit, as a whole of you in your informational field of your life and your destiny. So there's very much going to be a workshop around that, and around shall we say, the mBit mechanics aspect of it. I've been doing a huge amount of research and action research on, and behavioural modelling work on the autonomic nervous system.
Right.
If anyone's been following the Facebook posts, you'll know this, everything from exploring the stuff to do with the Iceman and the use of temperature, etc. There's so many bits. The mBit Coaching Workbook and Facilitator's Guide is in a certain sense part of the tools of taking your skill level to mastery, because we look at the roadmap in a generative way as a competency hierarchy. So they'll be definitely exploring deeper distinctions on highest expressing, on each of those steps of the roadmap.
Yeah.
But there's looking at the autonomic nervous system as a brain, as if it's a brain, and looking at its core competencies, highest expressions and techniques to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
When would you work with it, when wouldn't you? When you got a client?
Yeah, that's exciting.
That and some really interesting stuff out of that. There's taking each of the brains and working at a deeper level of distinctions with those brains. Some techniques that come out of some interesting esoteric work that directionalized some modelling. And I was actually playing with, we had a study group in New Zealand. I was in New Zealand. Suzanne Henwood, master trainer, runs study groups, and we had a study group, and I was able to play with some of the participants who turned up with that in a technique I call mapping across. And it was really interesting. I was talking to Suzanne 2 days ago before I flew out. And it was 2 days after we'd done this, and she said that because I got her to use this mapping across technique on something, I got all of them to use it on something that they had not been able to get a shift with in their life with straight mBit.
Mm-hmm.
And she said 2 days later, I said, so checking in, she said, yeah, the shift that was made 2 days ago has been profound. It's continued to shift.
Wow.
And it's something that she previously couldn't shift just with mBit. It's a whole, so there's a deepening of the levels of your skill as a coach to be able to take clients where they've made a shift but it hasn't been quite, there are times when you intuitively calibrate or the client comes back, they made a shift but they're back with the same class of experience. and it's just symptom substitution. You know, it's popped out somewhere else. There's something hasn't really shifted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that whole thing where some people say, "Gee, I really felt my heart shift there." So they get a shift, but they really haven't had that shift.
Right.
Where did it shift to? You know, like you haven't had that shift at a line level down into the full expression of them. Some of these new techniques, working at a deeper level, allow you to take those clients that have had, for whatever reason, stuff going, probably usually very impactful stuff going in their life. So, looking at the sex brain, looking at the ANS brain, as if it's a brain, deepening things with smell and taste. So, the neurolinguistics, I've been exploring some really interesting stuff around the metamodel, NLP metamodel, with linguistic distortions that come out in head, heart, gut. So some work that has come out of an overlap with the research work that I've been doing with Professor Henwood, over in New Zealand, on neural syntax preferences, on brain preferences, on how people, do head, heart, gut preferences, and some of the underlying backup research work that other researchers have done over the last decade on intuitive decision making, and taking some insights come out of that and doing behavioural modelling work. So some really cool things coming out of this. We've only got 3 days. It's going to be a full-on, action-packed 3 days. Yeah. One of the challenges of developing any workshop, Marv and I always would have loved to have done the Coach Service 6-day program. Yeah. It has to be commercially viable and work pragmatically for how much time people can take out of their busy lives, and their families and their work, etc., to come into a training room. So I recognise that with the Master Coach, I'd love to do it as a 4-day or a 5-day. But it's just not viable. Right. People have already done 4 days to become a coach. Yep. So I've said the time frame is 3 days. What can I deliver in 3 days? Yep. And so there's going to be some cool stuff. It'll be full on. You'll learn some amazing things. I think people will really enjoy it.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. Is there any chance that we'll see anything happen in Oz and New Zealand before the UK, or is it going to be the other way around?
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm going to try and get it in Oz and New Zealand before I go across to the UK. I think it would be a nice gift to give to my, those who are close here and have supported me and Marvin in getting MBit out in the early days, because it was in New Zealand and Australia that we first, the uptake was first, because it's our backyard, it's our home. So hopefully, if I can fit it all in, but with all the other training schedules, etc., and work, and of course when I'm in a training room, I can't be doing research or writing. So it's a balance between. Yeah, absolutely. That's where I live. So it's a balance between being able to share this out to the wonderful trainers and master trainers, so they can, you guys can spread it out across the world, and getting back on my computer in my papers and working one-on-one with people to be able to do the action research, so behavioural modelling. So
watch this space.
Watch this space.
So, very simply, if you're a MB coach and you're in Australia and you want to make sure that we get Grant delivering this before the UK,
good point.
Then please, guys, comment. Let him know on the bottom of this post here on Facebook. Just let's make sure that we cement him here and get him over the line.
You've just got me. You've got me here, because I go where the passion flows. When one of the things I do respond to is when people ask me for stuff, because I really love to give, as you know. Yeah. It brings me alive to share. So, the more people want it, the more they'll get it. At the moment, the people over in the UK are going, yeah. So I'm definitely, that's happening. We put dates on calendars. Yeah. New Zealand and Australia, if you want it, I'll just have to make it happen, eh?
Yeah. We'll have to make it happen. We'll have to have a louder voice than the UK for now, but we understand if you go to the UK first. That's at minimum it'll be the first quarter of next year. Yeah. So, well, thanks for that, Grant. Thanks for giving us a little bit of insight into what's coming up with mBraining. And coaches, watch this space. Contact Grant via mbraining.com if you have any more questions or any more information you'd like to know about any of the upcoming certifications. And Grant, thanks so much again for your time. I really have enjoyed my time here with you. It's been amazing. I constantly just learn more and more and more every time we get together and have a chat and speak. And I hope that everyone else out there also gets the opportunity to learn and absorb what it is that this beautiful field of mBraining is about. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, everyone, and thank you, Bill.
Thank you, mate. My pleasure.